Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. Yes, welcome to another episode of the Developing Dads podcast. This is episode number 54. We're getting close to Christmas, aren't we, Neil? We're a few days away.
Yeah, four days. My kids keep reminding me it's definitely a big countdown, and they're very, very excited.
I mean, are you not excited, Neil? Are you not absolutely bouncing off the walls, ready to go for Santa Claus coming down that chimney?
It definitely gets more exciting every year, because last year the boys were 3 and they kind of got it, but not really. But now they're like totally into it. So, but I feel this might be the last year that Isla understands or believes in Santa.
Well, here we go. That's a battle for you to explain at one point during the Developing Dads podcast next year. So anyone who is listening, tune in, and maybe you'll find out whether Neil managed to negotiate the 8-year-old.
I've got a story around that. Friends of ours have booked a holiday a week to Lapland next Christmas to try and keep the story going.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Like it's definitely getting better because obviously Olivia's much more aware of the whole thing going on. Like more aware in the sense that she sees the Christmas tree and gets very excited, and turn the lights on, she gets very excited. She sees the baubles, it's very excited. Like it's all exciting. And I imagine up until the age of about 5, 6, 7, they start to really sort of get engaged in it. But then after that, it starts to probably calm down a bit, and they start to realize that their parents are liars. And
yeah.
It's a bit weird to have a fat man with a beard come in your house.
And reindeer don't fly.
And reindeer don't fly, no, and elves don't exist, But here we are. Yep, so we're in episode number 54. We're going to start wringing the towel of content for highlights of 2022, so this year, what we've enjoyed about it. We're going to reflect on it. I actually quite enjoyed doing it, Neil. It's kind of like one of those moments where you think, wow, I had some fun,
How did you do it? Was there like a process you went through?
I sat on the train, Neil, and thought, shit, I've got to think something for the podcast. So
I went through my photos on my phone and just scrolled.
That's good of you. No, I didn't do any of that. So that was kind of my thing. And I'm sure some will come to me as I'm thinking about them. But I tried to sort of think about what the year was like and how it was, and some of the highlights, I guess, of it. So yeah, we're going to go through that this year. I'd highly recommend it. I'd highly recommend taking half an hour to your time and then just thinking about, well, what were the things that I got up to? What were the things that I really enjoyed? And I think that just helps you look back on some of the really happy memories that you have. So I really enjoyed that. But as we start with every Developing Dads podcast, so for new listeners, we always ask, men don't really talk to each other very much. And we always just ask how each other are and what Neil's been up to in the week that we haven't had a chat about stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely been about a week. I'm probably 9 out of 10, close to 10 out of 10 in terms of my mood, just my general feeling of life. I feel pretty good. What I've been up to the last week. So last week, work-wise, pretty standard. Things are kind of quieting down now as customers are kind of going offline and going on holiday. At the weekend, we went out with a couple of friends to this nice pub for a dinner and drinks and stuff, which is really nice in the middle of nowhere. Never heard of it. They invited us to this new place, so that was good. And then Sunday, we hosted a kind of Christmas party for a few of the boys and Isla's friends and their parents. So we had like party food and like party games, and Santa made an appearance. So that was really cool. And then it might sound a bit croaky because last night it was the final works night out. So I have 2 works nights. I have the London one, which has been and gone, but then we had the Edinburgh one, which was last night. And yeah, it was pretty heavy. Brewdog for about 10 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. And yeah, just had a really good time. A few people came up from London for it. And yeah, I'm not too hungover, but I'm just like on a high of really good socializing. And yeah, what else have I been up to? Just having a good time. Just enjoying the festivities. I really love this time of year.
Well, quite frankly, Neil, I'm glad someone's having a good time. Today, I've not had a good day. It really has not. I didn't think about cancelling the podcast this time around because I think I just wanted to moan. I just wanted to come on the podcast and talk about my woes of today in particular. But I'll start off with what did I do last week? I'm trying like
on the weekend.
I know I went off somewhere, but what the heck did I do last week?
You're in Dubai again for 36 hours.
When did we do a podcast? Wednesday last
Just
week.
before that, like you're leaving the next day, I think.
Oh, right. So it was a Thursday. Right, got you. So, yeah. Basically I went to Dubai for 36 hours. I left here about 10 o'clock in the morning, got to Dubai on a Friday, got to Dubai Saturday morning at about 1 a.m., then left Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m.
Oh, man. So you just stayed one night in a hotel?
Well, 2 nights, right?
Oh, yeah, Friday, Saturday night. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 'cause it was 1 in the morning. So, I mean, it was pretty wild. An interesting kind of trip. This one's a bit different to the previous one, where we were in Dubai last time. This time we were in a place called Sharjah, which is another emirate. So you've obviously got a collection of emirates, and Dubai and Abu Dhabi are pretty much the most famous ones.
How does it
Ajman.
compare to Dubai? Is it as built up? Is it as luxurious?
Nah,
No.
not even close. Like, 2 things. One, it's a dry emirate. So, no booze, no bars. Couldn't even go out for some shisha, Neil. No shisha bars, nothing, right? And then the second one was 5:30 in the morning, albeit I'm clearly in a Muslim country, but when you're in Dubai, you don't realise that. When you're in Sharjah, it's 5:30 a.m. and the tannoy is going off for morning prayers.
Wow.
And that was pretty hardcore. So I had to wake up twice because it went off twice. Which is a little bit challenging.
It in a different language.
It's totally different everything. I mean, do what you like, but it still was rather annoying because you're trying to sleep. But anyway, dealt with that. A couple of cool highlights. A few highlights actually. One was the hotel that we stayed in was beautiful, genuinely beautiful. If you go on my Instagram, Greenhorn Creative, I posted some pictures of it, and stunning, absolutely stunning hotel. Really, really nice. Staff were absolutely incredible. And when we checked in, one of the sales pitches from the lovely chap that checked us in was that the bed, the duvet, not the duvet, the mattress, was the most expensive mattress in all of UAE.
Wow.
Yeah, $17,000 apparently on a mattress. Yeah.
Jesus.
So I had a good night's sleep, but I wasn't sure if that was because I thought it was expensive and should be good, or it was actually good. Yeah. The hotel itself, absolutely stunning, and it's like 20 minutes from Dubai Airport. Like, Sharjah is literally the next door neighbor, so that was nice. And enjoyed that hotel, enjoyed the hospitality, enjoyed the food. We flew business class Emirates, which was again lovely, really, really lovely.
Did you get your World Cup viewing?
I did indeed. I'll get to that one in a minute, Neil. I'll get to that one in a minute, because that wasn't just that was one of the highlights. So we do the conference, film the things, make the stuff, like enjoy parts of it. But then we're having breakfast the next morning. Me and Ali just having a chat, like having some breakfast, eating away. Just very famous podcast host just arrived, and he's like, "Can I have breakfast with you?" And guess who the famous podcast host was, Neil?
Oh, Mr. Stephen Bartlett.
Mr. Stephen Bartlett sits down.
I saw he was there.
Just sitting having a chat. So me, Ali, Stephen Bartlett, and his manager Dom just sitting chatting about business and life and direction and podcasting and social media and team building and all that kind of stuff. So
I think I'd be pretty starstruck if that was me.
I try. This was the thing, right? He's a normal person, like everybody else. But I definitely didn't play it cool when I first saw him, because Ali was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I just went, "Oh, wow."
Yeah, he's pretty famous.
I guess so, but he's like famous in the eyes of maybe podcasting, right? That's kind of what it is. So that was cool. That was nice, and it was quite interesting to hear some of his stories and some of the things, bits and pieces. Some of which I won't repeat necessarily, but it was fascinating. And to be doing, he does like 5 speaking gigs a week at the moment. This setup, wow. And they're 6-figure gigs each and every single one of them. So yeah, he did all right out of that. So that was a big highlight. But then the second one was that, yeah, like you say, Neil, we were on a flight, big A380 Emirates, upstairs in the business class bit, where lovely seats, and then you get the bar at the back where it's all kind of like opened out, and there's a big TV screen and all that kind of stuff. And then we were also flying at the same time as the World Cup was on, and they played it live on the plane.
Wow.
So I was sat there in like 38,000 feet in the air watching one of the best World Cup games ever, with basically a button on repeat for cocktails. So
beautiful.
I had a lot to drink. Like, because Ali doesn't drink, so I didn't want to like come off the plane absolutely battered, and he's completely sober. It wouldn't really work. So I ate quite a lot, and then I definitely had a glass of champagne when I got on. I definitely had 2 glasses of wine with dinner, then 2 espresso martinis,
Oh, wow.
four cosmopolitan cocktails, and then a couple other bits. And then I had at halftime I had scones, which was really nice.
Brilliant.
On a plane. Oh, it was spectacular. Like it was. I wrote actually a little. I was going to post it, but I was like, nah. But it was just kind of like a level of gratefulness about, coming to the end of the year and doing something like that.
Where you've come, yeah.
That's a unique experience. It really is.
Massive.
Yeah. First of all, World Cup only happens once every 4 years, and also to be flying in a wonderful aircraft and one of the best aircrafts going, in one of the best seats going
in Emirates.
Yeah, it's mental. It was mental, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So very, very grateful for that. And then this week, Laura signed me up to a personal trainer.
Oh, wow.
I know, Neil, right? So it's not so much a personal trainer, but basically, when we moved to the area, I was trying to find gyms. Right? And there's a really cool bodybuilding gym, old school one, about a 10-minute drive from here called King's. It's fantastic, very good gym. But I was also looking for one for Laura. And, post-pregnancy, post-baby, it was about trying to like get her body back and get her back into training because she really enjoyed it. And I found this place that did like small group personal training. So basically you pay a monthly fee and you get 1, 2, or 3 group personal training sessions where there's 6 people to 1 personal trainer. A bit of a generic program, but then the personal trainer sort of modifies it for you, helps you like make it better, pushes you a little bit more, but it's just not completely one-to-one. And it's priced that way. But I told her to go and sign up for it. A few months down the line, she decided to sign up to it and she absolutely loves it. And they've sent her a little thing that was like free 30-day trial for anyone if they want to try it. So I went for it, and I went from my induction yesterday. So today's Wednesday, so I was on Tuesday, and Laura talks about me, obviously, like talks about the fact that I was a personal trainer for years and did all this kind of stuff because they found out where the gym was recommended from. Because I know the model of the gym, like it was basically following this certain other gym that is synonymous for this model, and he's obviously done very well out of it. But we're talking all sorts. And it was fun. It was quite fun because I was a customer, right? I was a client. I wasn't a personal trainer. And it was interesting because the chap that showed me around, a guy called Luke, very lovely chap, really lovely. Like he clearly knows his business, knows how to run it. But he was very much running off like a traditional script of what he would do with most people, which I get it. Like he gets Susan and John who come in and, they're mid-40s and they want to just exercise and they've never really exercised before. But I'm like, yeah, I was personal trainer for 12 years and like bodybuilding and powerlifting and all this kind of stuff. So I'd kind of throw him off when I'd talk about those kind of things. And the script was quite hard to stick to, which was quite interesting. But yeah, it feels good. Like I don't think we can really afford to have both of us doing it because it's a couple $100 a month at least. And you can't have 2 people doing it. It's going to cost too much. So I don't know. He's probably never going to listen to this podcast, but if he does, I'm basically going to try and proposition him because he wants to start YouTube and he wants to do podcasting and all this kind of stuff. Here's your boy. I'm way overqualified to help him do all that kind of stuff. So sling me a couple of free memberships, Luke, and I'll sort your boy out. So yeah, I got my first session tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. I think if the sessions, if I get a membership for free, I think I'd be happy to do it. But it's kind of like I don't need the education. That's not my issue. Like I know what I'm doing. It's just more of a motivation thing. So if I can very least use this 30 days to do something, then that'll be good. And it also just means I'm not procrastinating and putting it off all the time and not going to the gym, right? So sorting it out basically is what I'm saying. And that's kind of my week, really, to be honest.
But why was today such a car crash?
I'm glad you asked. Neil. So first thing was just kind of like I was out filming today, and it just I don't know. I want to make great content. I want to provide excellence. Is basically what I'm saying. And regardless of whether or not you've got £1 million or £10, I still want to do a really good job. Like I want people to be happy with what I deliver. But part of my job I can't do all, right? I can't make all of the I can't make all of the content for you, and then, it's going to be posted. Like, there's got to be help, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it just wasn't there today, and I just kind of a bit like, what was the point? Like, what I don't understand. And you could be like, hey, yeah, you still get paid for it, you still get all this, and I'm like, again, if I go back to like my base, like my foundation, I want to make great things.
Yeah.
And then coming home, it took me 3.5 hours to get home.
Like, were you still in London? Like, were you in London?
Yeah,
yeah.
Because the train got delayed, got delayed, then cancelled. Then the train that I did get on didn't stop at Colston; it decided to just go straight to Gatwick Airport. So then I took the train back again. So not all was lost though. I was sat working out some ideas and playing around with a few bits and pieces, but at the same time, it's just like you just don't want that happening, right?
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Neil, Laura goes, "Oh, there's a few scratches on the new windows." Yeah. So I mean, as regular listeners will know, we had the new render done on the window on the house, didn't we, Neil? Yeah. Didn't protect the windows, did they? And pretty much all of them have scratches, chips on the glass on the outside.
Wow. That's major.
Yeah. You know how much those windows cost, Neil? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad, isn't it?
That's basic 101. Put some sheets or some plastic thing over it.
Yeah. But they didn't do that when they were taking the render off, did they? Like, I am...
Have you spoken to them yet?
The thing is, though, I still haven't paid them for any of the work. So it's like, you haven't finished.
But what's more expensive, Windows or render?
Oh, so the windows were £7,500 for the entire house. Render was £4,000.
Ah, okay.
So if he wants paid, then I tell you, they better fix the windows. And there's no how else would they get scratched?
Yeah, they're brand new.
Like every single window. It's just, I'm just sick of it, Neil. I'm just sick. I'm sick of builders. I'm sick of incompetence. I'm sick. Like, we had skirting boards done. Wasn't even level. Like, I looked at it and went, I could have done a better job. My eyes closed. And I don't even know how to use any of this. Like, it's just, like, how are people so crap?
Yeah.
And I'm just not interested anymore. Like, I'm just not, like... How hard is it to find someone who can put lights in the middle of a thing, or put sheets to make sure the windows don't get damaged? Like, how hard is it? Really, it's not, is it? So you can see why I'm probably pretty pissed off today, can't you?
Yeah, it can only get better.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess today's just been like that. The rest of the week, the rest of the week was fine. Like, the trip to Dubai and stuff was good fun, and I've had a good kind of think, because you had time on the plane. It's nice. It's a nice time to sit and just think about stuff, right? And I was thinking about all sorts of ideas, and I've got some new content stuff I'm going to do and sort of refocus on, and just trying to figure out stuff a little bit. But then, today was just a bit of a cherry, absolute. Like, I'm literally sat next to, I film my podcast for anyone who's listening, they can watch it on YouTube, but I literally sit next to one of my new windows, and I'm just looking at bits and pieces of it right now going, yeah, that's a bit of a chip right there, and that's a scratch right there. God. Yeah. It's not good, is it? Not good, Neil.
I don't even know how do you have to replace the whole window, or can you just replace the glass? I have no idea.
I mean, you're going to have to replace the glass, yeah, but that's the expensive bit, right? Frames are just made of plastic.
Yeah, true.
What's he going to do? He's going to have to replace them all. It's more than $4,000, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you spoken to him yet?
Yeah, I sent him a message. I'll tell you what I sent him. Here we go. Do you want to hear my disgruntled reply? You ready for this? Where are we? Here we go. Hi, Dave. Noticed today there were scratches on one of our new windows in the front room, so I had a look in more detail at all of them, and it appears nearly every window has a scratch or worse, chips. They're all brand new, so this could have only been caused during the work that was taking place over the past couple of weeks. And he was just like, I'll pop over.
Wow.
And he was like, and have a look. They covered them with plastic when the work was done. I was like, well, they didn't, actually, because I have pictures of them when they were chipping the stuff off. There was nothing covering the windows.
Wow.
And then when they rendered, so they put the concrete on the walls, they then had plastic on them. So they did it wrong way around, didn't they, Neil? Didn't they?
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it? Like, just don't move, Neil. Don't do anything to your house. Just let it crumble. Just let it fall to pieces. Because if you try and get someone to do something about it, they'll just make it worse.
Yeah. Thankfully, the only thing we've done and needs to do is our new boiler. But that was easy. The windows were done like 6 months before we came in. And the doors. So.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I hope nothing like the roof doesn't cave in or something.
But you got insurance for that. You'll be all right. Yeah. So yeah, that's quite an end to the, because that's pretty much my year done in terms of like going out and working, right?
That's good.
So,
it's good.
But yeah, Dave the builder, he's going to want paid at some point, but we're going to have a bit of a fight, aren't we? Because he's going to have to fix the windows. Anyway, let's not drag this podcast through the dirt and down to the ground. I think we can probably get on with some of the highlights, I guess. Neil, this was. It started off positively. I've dragged it down a bit, and we're going to lift it back up again, back into something a bit more positive. Let's hope so.
Good.
But yeah, what 2022? Like of the ones you got written down, or even ones that are not written down, do you think of like your North Star 22 moment? Like what was the most fun thing, or happiest, or best thing that you did?
I don't think I can choose one.
Really? Like there's not one that you're like, oh, that was better than that one? Surely they're not all the same.
No, I mean, the week in London I just had with Rebecca was pretty phenomenal. But then the Coolin Ridge, which we can go into a bit more detail when we get into the podcast, was pretty phenomenal. I wrote there, almost died, and I was there with a good friend. So yeah, like I guess different reasons. So the London one was just obviously me and Rebecca spending quality time together. We don't do that often, and being in Skye, doing something that I've never done before, climbing one of the most dangerous kind of peaks, I'd say, in the UK, with a friend. Just you're totally out of your comfort zone. It was like an achievement kind of thing. So,
all right. So
what about you?
Like, my absolute highlight. I'd go with the first full year with Olivia, because like she was obviously born in 2021 in August. And, you know, this was a full 12 months of Olivia and seeing her develop. And I think it's also like in the part, the part of this year was obviously her transitioning into like past 12 months, Laura giving up breastfeeding, like all the kind of stuff that allows as me to take more control and more part to play within the whole parenting aspect. So yeah, absolutely. Like spending a whole year with Olivia. She's sensational. Like she's the best little thing that I've ever imagined, to be honest. Like even just today. Sorry.
It's amazing looking at like at the start of the year in January, and one of my highlights was I came down for New Year, quite a last minute trip. And yeah, if you look at like Olivia then compared to Olivia now, it's just mad how quickly. I mean, a year's not a long time, and how quickly kids develop.
Not at all. Like from her going from, you know, being an absolute potato when we'd line her up and take a picture next to the Christmas tree. she could, you know, barely move, to now she's running around saying rainbow. You know,
yeah.
And she was trying to say wheelbarrow this morning. Like, how mental is that? So that I think is one of the most incredible things, really, to be honest. Like even yesterday, it's like the thing with kids, and you'll know this, Neil, is that no matter what kind of day you've had, what kind of mood you're in, or whatever's happened, whatever it is, like they can just like snap change any part of you. So it was like yesterday we I'm trying to think what happened. Yeah, I came back from the gym. It was Laura's mum's birthday, and I came back from the gym thing that I did. Walked into the house, and Olivia just ran to me and went, "Daddy."
Yeah, it's priceless.
That crumbled. That's your insides. Your insides is just gone. Like they've disappeared. Like any fully grown man, any hardy person just crumbles when that happens. And
I mean, Isla's been doing it for 8 years, or 7.5 years, 8 years almost. and it still makes my heart.
It's mental. Or even, when sometimes when we get just like private moments with me, Laura, and Olivia, we all play. Sometimes we play collectively, so it's not just Olivia with Laura; it's Olivia with me, and she'll go between us, and we're tickling her, and she's laughing and running away, and then running back again. Like, that's just mental. It's mental. It makes me well up a little bit just thinking about it. So I think, for me, that's got to be like the biggest thing. Spending an first entire year with my daughter, and as a dad and as a parent with Laura. Ugh, blows my mind. I've got to stop.
No, that's nice. That's a wholesome one.
I think so.
So I'll start from the kind of, as I said, I went right to the top of 2022 in my kind of photo reel, and then found the photos, and the photo that kind of jogged the memory of me coming down was when we were all sitting by the table in New Year's Day with Jack and your brother-in-law and his missus, and Olivia was there and Laura was there and stuff, and that was a really nice meal. And I remember, I think it was only a couple of days before I was due to fly that we planned that, or like I don't know how it all came about, but that was a really nice trip just to start the year. And then this podcast was born. I remember we were walking down to Cafe Nero and with Olivia. I think I might have been carrying her, or you were carrying her in the carrier, and you were like, "How would you feel about doing a podcast?" And here we are, a year later of doing podcasts.
Yeah, that start of the year, I'd also just started going employed, right? So I was that was my second month into the job, I think it was. And I do also remember was it New Year's Day? Maybe it was New Year's Day, when me, you, and Jack drank about 4 bottles of wine. Yeah,
that was a lot of alcohol.
And I was almost paralytic. And we watched James Bond as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And that was one of those randoms as well, because I think Jack's flight had got cancelled.
He was meant to be go to Africa, South Africa.
Yep.
Kenya.
Kenya. And it got cancelled, so it was all very random. And we were like, oh yeah, we've got extra food, because I did a chicken or something on the egg, and did some other bits and pieces, and just said come over, and we just had a nice time. It was just one of those random kind of, I had 4 bottles of red wine just kicking around the house and just drank them. Like, it was just one of those, right? And I think that to me is one of the best. Yeah, it's the best ways to spend time sometimes, is just spontaneously and just making it work, and just all kind of like huddling together. And it's rarely ever the fancy stuff or the fancy occasion or fancy crockery or fancy glassware or fancy wine that ever truly makes an occasion. It's nice to have those things, don't get me wrong, and I feel very privileged that we can afford those sometimes. But when it's just random and rogue and you're just like, I'm just going to have a good time. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Then what was the other thing?
We started the podcast.
Oh yeah. We start. That's got to be a highlight, right? Is the pod thing?
Yeah.
Because it's just, I think it's been an interesting journey, in that I listened to the first one actually. I was listening to it this morning. It's not too it's not too different. There was definitely a bit of kind of like apprehension between the both of us in terms of what it was going to be, and it obviously started off as the Greenhorn podcast. But I feel like it's just been a good choice. It's been a good thing to do.
There's no regrets.
Yeah, none. There's all upside, right?
Yeah.
which is pretty good. Not everything you ever do is just got a positive upside.
I know, and the fact that we're like week 50 or whatever of doing podcasts every single week. Maybe done a couple in the same week, but yeah, it's been a pretty steady focus.
Yeah, and every week we've only missed 2 upload times. Well, we've uploaded every single Monday, I think, since pretty much when it started, and we've only missed 1.
Yeah.
And I can't say many people that have done 50 things straight without failing.
I know. But like, I look at podcasters, and you actually introduced me to him in the last episode. What's his name again?
Chris Williamson.
Yeah. So I've been listening to a few of his episodes, and he's on like episode, I can't remember, in the hundreds now. And I keep meaning to go back to like listening to his first ever one, because he did like, I don't know, 12 lessons he's learned through doing podcasting for the last year, and it's just him talking for an hour, and I think that's a skill. That's like, that takes some. I mean, I don't know about you, but I couldn't speak for an hour on my own to a podcast.
I think if you had 12 stuff to talk about and you prepared yourself, we should do a solo podcast.
Yeah.
Because
might be a good challenge.
It is. It's just something a bit different, right? You just plan it out and you just talk about it. Maybe we do our 12 lessons from what we learned from podcasting each, and that'd be quite cool. But
that guy like started off with really kind of nothing, and now he's interviewing like Huberman, Joe Rogan. Like he's done some massive interviews.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. I was talking to a lot of people this weekend. Because inevitably Ali gets obviously all the attention, but then some people are like, oh, they chat to me about it, like, you're the video guy, what do you do, blah, 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 what do you think about content? And I just don't really see a world in which consistency and quantity don't win.
Yeah.
Quality is important. Of course it is. That goes without saying. If it sounds really bad or it's terrible in terms of like personality and content-wise, sure, it's probably not going to succeed. But even then, like, some people still succeed and they're,
it's like, rubbish.
It's rubbish. But when you've got consistency and quantity, it's really hard to beat that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
If you're always at work and you consistently and always turn up and you work and you do your work thing, like, and your quality is good, at least good, it's hard to beat, I think.
Yeah. Who's that guy that kind of, again, you told me about him, he started up loads of gyms and he's a kind of serial
Alex Hormozy.
Yeah, so he did, I think maybe you said it to me, but he was doing like a couple of hundred episodes of a podcast, and like the listenership was like in the low hundreds, and then it just like kind of starts climbing after 150, 200, and now he's getting hundreds of thousands, and it's just him talking for 20 minutes.
It was the same for Stephen Bartlett. Let me see if I can find it for you. Growth. But there was a graph that he shared where it was effectively, I think he shared it on like Twitter or something, or graph Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. But basically, it was just like, it just showed how nuts the growth of the Diary of a CEO was. But nah, I don't think I can find it.
Yeah, and I think I do remember. But it was like a spike in the
because
one of the quarters.
You start and you make so many, and I think one of the things that Alex Hormozy talked about when he talked about his podcast overall, he's just said, look, the first year you're literally just finding your voice. You're literally finding like what you're going to talk about, your interviewing style, the way you go about things, all that kind of thing. And I'm just super glad that we didn't start this podcast without any expectations, really. And even my little kind of like story about why we do it, because people will be like, oh, there's a lot of effort into it. I'm like, it's not really that much effort. What's your thumbnails like on YouTube? And I'm like, who cares? Not bothered. And I'm kind of like, it is like literally the first year has just been about just experimenting and playing around with it. And like I said, the tagline aspect of why we're doing it maybe changed slightly, but it's become more cohesive in terms of how I tell people. Like, I'm basically like, I'm just going to capture our conversations for our grandkids. Yeah, and people really buy into that, and they see why they want to do it. And even like you said, that people have been inspired by you to think that that's something that you probably could do and why you would do it. And as a platform to be able to document that life and document those things, it's super easy, right? It's just a microphone. It's pretty much it on a computer.
Yeah. Low cost.
One of my highlights this year, house extension, definitely a highlight. Although it has been a bugbear throughout the entirety of this podcast, even today, it's still continued to be something that weighs on my shoulders. It costs me money and time and effort and emotional stress. But it's been a task that I use the word privileged to be able to do it. We have enough money to do it. The housing market did us very well, or did me very well during the time that I owned my other property, and we were able to afford to sort of just basically go ham on an extension, and it's incredible. Like, on Christmas Day, we're going to have the whole entire family around a table in our new kitchen, drinking wine, eating food, just enjoying each other's company. And it's ours. It's our house. We decided all the bits. We decided all the way it was designed. We decided all the kitchen, everything about it's ours, and it feels amazing. And that's a real accomplishment. And
yeah, that's sweet.
I also feel like we've learned a lot in that someday it would be nice to do a big extension, right? It'd be nice to do a big project of some kind. But it's taught me a lot about how to deal with builders and how to deal with people and how to deal with money and, planning and what's right and what's wrong and what I wouldn't include and what I would include. So I'm glad it's not been on like a £200,000 scale or a £300,000 scale, which maybe in the future that might be something we'd undertake. But I'm glad it was on a not so that large scale, which has meant we've certainly learned a lot. So I've got to say it's definitely a highlight because how many people get to do that?
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. And I don't know, I hope eventually we'll have, maybe not as drastic as you in terms of an extension, but certainly some TLC in our kitchen and our bathrooms would be nice. One of my highlights, and I kind of mentioned it at the start, of being like an ultra highlight, but the Coolin Ridge is quite a precarious ridge. And when I say ridge, it's like a series of mountains that all line up together on Skye. And I think it takes 48 hours to do them all. You can get a guided tour or a guide to help you. And you couldn't do them all without a guide. It's definitely not my level. But anyway, a friend of mine and I decided to try and capture 3 of the 7 or 8 Munros that are on the Coolin Ridge. And as we were going up, we came to notice that we weren't quite prepared. So everybody kind of had ropes on their back and like hard helmets and like different shoes than we were wearing. We're like, yeah, this is interesting. And we kind of had I had like an emergency safety thing where there's no phone signal in the area, but we could still get help if we needed. We had maps and like we had all our kind of shelters and stuff. So we were being prepared, but just not prepared for the kind of scrambling and the rock climbing that was needed to get to these 2 peaks. And anyway, like everyone was really friendly up on the ridge, and we didn't actually, nobody offered us to have their safety gear, but we managed to get the 2 out of the 3. We didn't get the 3rd one because it just got too dangerous. But it's definitely like way out of my comfort zone. I kind of wrote down here that I feel like I was almost died because there was just some really sketchy moments. And looking back, I definitely don't regret it, but I definitely wouldn't do it again. And I definitely would be more prepared in terms of having a guide and stuff. But I don't know, it was one of those moments where you're just totally out your comfort zone. And I don't know if you did that in 2022. Did you go out your comfort zone and adrenaline's running? And but that was definitely a highlight.
Yeah, was there a time in which I was outside of my comfort zone? I don't know. I guess so, but not really. Like I'm trying to think of a time in which in 2022 I really went outside of what I know best currently. No, not really.
Yeah, I challenge you to maybe do that in 2023. Maybe we can set that as a goal for you.
Ooh maybe.
But yeah, like I remember saying to Graham, the guy I was climbing with, we were at the top of one of them, and the top is like you can't fit 2 people on it. So there's me at the top, and I was like, I don't know if I can come down. Like I was just, it was terrifying. Like it was just so scary. But we made it. We got home. We had lots of really nice whiskey when we got back to the Sky House, and we walked to a pub, which is about a 20-minute walk. No street lights, no pavements. You just kind of go through various areas of different fields and stuff, and you get to a pub. Had an amazing drink, and it was just such a nice weekend. But yeah, that was awesome.
Interesting that near death was something that you would say pushed you out of your comfort zone. I guess maybe some of them for you might have been the whole podcasting in public.
Yeah, that was definitely Tower Bridge. Fond memories of it. Even at the bakery when Rebecca had the bakery, when people were walking in, yeah, it was kind of like, what am I doing? But I think I got over it. Yeah, like I think I have no fear now, and like Gordon and I have got a week planned in Skye with the family, and I definitely want to try and get some cool areas to record a podcast. Yeah,
definitely. Like it's a fun thing to do. Yeah, so like another highlight aspect of things. We already kind of discussed it. Like I put down full year podcasting. I think it's a real absolute highlight of this year, taking on the challenge of doing it and just really enjoying it overall. Highlight. I don't know if I will call this a highlight, but it's certainly a thing. Like because highlights, everyone says highlights are positive, right? But highlight, I guess. Okay, fine. But a highlight is also something that's noticeable, right? It's a highlight on a window or a catchlight in the eyes, that kind of stuff. So it's something you notice. And at the start of the year, I was employed, right? I had a job. I was take a pay packet every month at the end of the month. I had a boss. I had colleagues. I had deadlines. I had 9 to 5. I had all these kind of things, right? And then, that kind of quickly changed abruptly, I guess, 6 months in, and moved back into freelance again. So I guess part of me still feels to this day a little bit sad about all that, and I feel hurt, I guess, let down a little bit. And it was an unfortunate sort of circumstance and way it was handled and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, I guess going back into the elements of self-employed life, there's just I didn't realize how much work an employed job is.
Oh wow, okay.
Like I know I work a lot, and I know you mention it, and Laura's mum mentions it, and Laura mentions it, and everybody mentions it, whatever else. I appear to work a lot, and I do, but at the same time, it's generally on my terms. Like, I don't have to work that much, or I don't have to do all these kind of things. But I can tell you now, there's a lot of people, mums and dads, who do 40 hours a week plus minimum.
Oh yeah.
And if I was to really tot up all of the work that I do I do 40 hours a week? Probably not. It's just sometimes it's at weekends, and sometimes it's in the evening, and sometimes it's in the mornings, and sometimes it's at rogue times. But at the end of the day, like, just yesterday, was it yesterday? Laura was like, "Do you want to come to the local forest, Cheam Place, or whatever it's called, Cheam Park, and go for a walk with the other bump and baby parents and their kids?" I was like, "Yeah, screw it, why not?" Like, it's a Tuesday afternoon. I can tell you now, there's not many dads or mums, any parents, in fact, across the UK that are able to do that.
Yeah.
So, from something that was kind of unfortunate and I wasn't particularly happy about it, to something that actually returned me back to what actually was really good,
Yeah.
That was healthy and it was happy, and I got to hang out with Olivia, I got to hang out with Laura, get to do all these kind of things. Like, it's a good thing. So yeah, I don't know what the plans are.
Ever wanting to go back full time, or
for the right person, yeah. For the right project, yeah. I would still undertake the same negotiation that I went under. I knew the risk, I knew what it was going to be about, and I made sure that I was protected against that risk.
Yeah.
And I didn't come out of this situation badly. But if I hadn't had that, then I think that I wouldn't have taken it, to be honest. I wouldn't have taken the job, regardless of who you are. I think I'd still have to have some sort of level of protection there, and it would have to be a cost to basically get rid of me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it'd have to be like a project, someone working for the right person. But even then, like, the variety is quite nice. The protection from the variety is obviously quite good, because then I'm not just solely relying on one person. So maybe I kind of liked the team thing, but I think the team thing only is good if it's efficient.
Yeah. There's definitely negatives to a team.
Yeah, and if the team thing isn't particularly efficient, then I think it's just hard stuff to work with, because you have to work within their parameters, you have to work within their feedback, you have to work within their demands, their requirements, and sometimes people just aren't very good at communicating that or following it. So, like what do you do?
Yeah.
Especially if it impacts your job and your happiness. Anyway.
Fair. My next one is the Brewdog mountain biking cycle thing that I did. So I think we covered it in one of the episodes in a random dad chat.
Yeah, it's one of the most listened to ones, I think, Neil, because we put that thing in the title.
It was a bit surreal. So I'm a shareholder. I've only got 1 or 2 shares in Brewdog. It's always funny when you say you've got a share in a company, because they're like, wow. But yeah, not much at all. But anyway, I put my name down for this, put into a ballot, and I don't know how many people tried to enter it, but anyway, there's about 25, 30 of us that got chosen. And Brewdog just put on an awesome day. So there's obviously beer all around, there was a barbecue, there was lunchtime stuff, and the opportunity to be close to a CEO, founder of Brewdog, James Watt, I think is quite a unique experience. And you mentioned having breakfast with Stephen Bartlett. Like, no matter what your views are of James Watt, you might hate him, you might despise him, But just, I don't know, having a day out with him on a mountain bike was pretty awesome. And like just hearing how he chats to people and kind of the stuff he's doing. And yeah, it was just a kind of definitely a highlight for 2022.
That was pretty cool. And I think it's important, like it's an important lesson there of just having a punt and asking someone if you can go or do something or enter something or be part of something.
Yeah.
And then just going with it. Just seeing what happens.
I was really close to pulling out, which is interesting. So I had a friend, the same guy that I climbed in Skye with, Graham. He was my +1. I could take a +1, and we were both going to go camp afterwards, yada, yada, yada. But he got really sick, and he didn't end up coming. And I kind of found out the day before that he couldn't make it. And I was saying to Rebecca, like, I don't know if I can do it myself. Like, I was quite shy. I was quite not shy, but nervous, and don't know, it's like everyone's going to know each other. I'm going to be the only one. And it turns out nobody knew each other, and it was great. Like I met some really cool people. But yeah, there's a bit of doubt in me, like I'm not going to go.
These are good things to do.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's now a highlight.
Yeah, because if you only rely on the comfort of knowing,
yeah,
then I don't think you ever really push yourself. You know,
yeah.
If you want to learn something new and your head hurts while you're learning it, apparently that's like new synapses or connections or whatever your brain being built, right? That's why it hurts, apparently. And equally, if you want to be a better human being, you've got to learn how to socialize. And sometimes it's about saying, "Hey, my name's Neil. What's yours?"
Yeah. Like I literally know nobody. Yeah, sorry, I knew nobody, and that's probably the first time I've been in that kind of situation. Like I've always had work colleagues around me or friends of friends around me, but this time I absolutely know nobody's name, and it was good.
You got to go out there, put your arm out, and say, "Hi, my name's so and so."
Yeah.
And you got to start the conversation. And
I'm waiting to spend 12 hours with you.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy to live a life, a sheltered life, really, isn't it? Where you can just hang out with the people that you know, and you easily have conversation with them, or hang out with your family, and again, you know they're going to listen to you, and you're going to talk to them, and everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just good to just put your hand out and just say hello.
Yeah.
You know, in a situation like, and sometimes there's really good things that come from it. Really good things, like saving James Watt's life.
Episode number 30 something or 40 something.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't really say this is a highlight, but I haven't really done gym this year. I think I had a bit of a run for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then fell off the bandwagon again. And boo-hoo me. But
I think that's okay though.
It is okay, but I feel I'm getting to the point where it's kind of getting negative in my brain. And I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's the whole identity aspect of who I was previously and what I am not now. Look where I was. It's very easy to be like, oh, I deadlifted 250 kilos and I benched 160 and I was this ripped bodybuilder and people identified me as that, and then they're like, "Do you train much now?" And you're like, "Nah, I don't really do much training at all." And I can feel right in my belly button, I'm a bit squidgy and I've got a bit of a belly and my arms are small and my legs are much smaller. I mean, don't get me wrong, I fit into clothes a lot better. That's probably a bit of a bonus.
Yeah.
But and I don't feel sexy. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel kind of like that thing. And I guess part of my confidence came from the way I looked. It's quite nice to have muscles and be kind of strong. I know you're like that. And I guess I miss also the inspiration that I used to get from going to the gym, in terms of I'd sit and think about stuff and I'd come up with ideas. Like some of my best ideas would come from when I'm working out at the gym. I'd always take a notepad with me and write down various ideas that I was coming up with at the time. So yeah, I guess it's not a highlight. It's kind of just a part of the year that I'm disappointed. Yeah, reflection. Yeah, it's a disappointment, I guess, that I haven't taken it as seriously as I should have and owned it. I guess it's my fault, right? It's not anybody else's fault. You can only look after your own body. It's not someone else isn't going to force you to do it. And yeah, I hope these 30 days. I got my first sort of little session tomorrow. I hope these 30 days sort of spark me into something, feeling a bit better about it. And we'll see if Luke fancies that free gym membership idea. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Don't know. 2023, the new me.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to think of something like a low light, a thing that didn't go too well, and I struggled. I don't know if I need to dig deeper. Maybe the next episode I can think of something, but I felt 2022 was a pretty solid year in terms of all around like fitness and yeah. I don't know, but anyway, moving on to one of mine. I'll tie these up because I'm conscious of time. I'll put two in one.
Don't worry about it. We can go over the hour if we have to. We don't do it very often, and if we're enjoying it, we just keep going.
Fair. So dad camp was another one of mine. So in the summer this year, I messaged two dads and was like, "Do you fancy just taking the boys camping for a few nights?" I think went for 3 or 4 nights to Loch Lomond, and yeah, how do you feel about that? And they're all up for it. And it was just, although I said boys, Isla came with because I couldn't let her not come. Like that would have been harsh. She would have been gutted. So yeah, it was me and 3 kids, and then the 2 dads had a kid each. So it was a bit uneven numbers, but it just had the best time. Like we got the kids down at night time. We had a few beers, barbecues, and just it was, I don't know, we got into some deep conversations, some deep reflection. And there wasn't much phone signal. Certainly, we're never on our phones. There's no Wi-Fi. I don't know. It was just so wholesome. And like I think getting back to basics, and I think that's why I like camping. Is like there's just very limited distractions. There's no TV. There's no kind of chargers for your pads. And yeah, we had some really cool conversations. And we've now vowed to do it every year. So it'll be a yearly thing that we take a bunch of our kids. Just as dads, because mums can cloud you a bit.
Can't be honest. Is that what you're saying, Neil?
Yeah. Dad's terms.
There's a bit of a theme there, isn't there? Really, with the idea of adventure. You know, sparks new feelings, and I think I felt the same when we did 2 trips this year. One of them was Positano earlier in the year with Laura. It was just me and her, and we kind of. Let Olivia stay with the grandparents, which we're very grateful for. And, you know, you talk about that idea of rekindling things and connecting again. It's kind of part of that, right? Is if you go on an adventure somewhere, you go somewhere new and there's new stimulus and you're experiencing that new stimulus with someone, I feel like it creates better connections and more connections and, you know, just everything about it. It's just better. It's just nice.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Even so, when there's like a physicality to it, or I've certainly found it when we're traveling with Laura, back in 2017, we do quite a lot of climbs and hikes and adventures and stuff like that. And, you know, when we're both physically struggling or physically trying to do something, I felt an even deeper connection with her in terms of like how we were doing stuff and experiencing things. And the second trip we went on was to America, and that was with Olivia's first sort of plane journey, which is kind of nuts to think. Our first plane trip was a 9-hour flight to Seattle.
3-month-old, 6-month-old?
She was 6 months, yeah. She was she was more than that. She was 11 months old. So she was kind of coming up to a year. So she wasn't walking or anything. She was kind of not crawling. So that was kind of a first trip. And that was a first like family trip. So me, Laura, Olivia, and David and Denise came along. And it was just lovely. Like we had some lovely moments on my birthday. We went for a cycle along Santa Monica Beach Boulevard, and she was sat on the back and for the first time on a bike and had a little helmet on, and you know, we had a lovely meal on my birthday as well, which was incredible. And then kind of just hanging out with David and Denise, just traveling around, doing some bits and pieces, seeing some things. It was great. It was really good fun. And yeah, I think those were 2 really highlights, was just like the adventuring. One just with Laura and then one with family. And then we've got stuff next year. Like we're off to the Isle of Skye, and we're going to have a whole gaggle of people, aren't we?
We are. And yeah, you're right. It's getting away from the norm, getting away from your busy lives at home. And because like I find, especially when like the kids go to the grandparents and it's just me and Rebecca in the house, we relax a little bit, but we still do housework. We still like put the washing away or hoover and it just never really switches off. But definitely when you go away, that feels good. And that kind of leads me on to my next one. Is Isle of Skye, and like I keep pinching myself that I have access to this so freely, and we've been maybe 5 or 6, maybe even 7 times, planning on going back for New Year. And yeah, it's just such a surreal part of the world. And it never gets old. I've been to so many different areas in Skye multiple times, and still the views and even the bad weather can be really nice when you've got the fire on and drinking whiskey. It just never gets old, and it's a really grateful moment that we get access to that, thanks to Rebecca's parents. And yeah, just a highlight of being able to go there when we want. There's been times where it's been like a Tuesday or Thursday night, and we're like, well, we'll just on Friday take Isla out of school and just go up to Skye because we can. And yeah, it's just so good. It's just a proper time to switch off.
Yeah, it's good. I think I'd like something like that. And I kind of think about it when I'm old. I kind of want like a place by the sea.
Yeah,
nice.
like the fact that it just fuck it, leave on a Thursday night, Friday night, and you're in somewhere completely different.
Yeah, you do. We I forget Laura's birthday. I organised this cloud thing in Wales, which was really fun.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Yeah,
it was really, really nice, and we had a couple of really nice meals. And again, just the two of us, like just chilling out. So I'm hoping. I think we're going to try and book something again, sort of March, April time, if we can, where it's just the two of us, and we'll go off some place and have an adventure. Just because it's nice. I think it's something to look forward to as well. I think that's an important part of like highlights that I think you enjoy the anticipation up to them, you enjoy the part of them, and then you enjoy reflecting on them. So I think having something in the diary is probably a very good idea.
Yeah.
And then I think the last one for me, a bit of a highlight, is this podcast. I didn't tell you about it, Neil, but Ali was chatting to a fan, right? And all I heard, I was kind of in the background. I had an earphone in because he was like mic'd up and all that kind of stuff. I heard him be like, "Developing dads." And I was like, what? And basically, this guy was chatting to him about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I listened to you were on that Developing Dads podcast, and like I listened to it and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really good." And Ali was like, "Gordon, are you hearing this?" And it's this little Asian chap was like really into our podcast and listens to it. I can't remember his name. I don't know if he listens to all of them, but either way, he was like, yeah, he really enjoyed our podcast, and I was like, that's wild. And brilliant. I think I've been on PTYA, Part-Time YouTuber Academy cohorts where I'm presenting and stuff like that. I have mentions of people like from Singapore and all sorts of stuff listening to the Developing Dads. So yeah, it's been kind of a bit surreal and a bit of a highlight to think that there's people outside of our little group that actually listen to these on a regular basis. And it's not for them and it's not for that purpose, but at the same time, it's kind of like, when you create someone and says, I'll really enjoy it, I think that's just nice. It's pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at Simplecast just now, that hosts our podcast on different platforms. And we've hit 3,014 downloads, all-time downloads, which, it's massive. Like, we're kind of, a few episodes ago, we're like, we'll make the 3,000 mark before the end of the year. Well, Gordon has smashed it. We're 14 over with a couple of episodes to go.
Yeah, 3,000 downloads, right? That's kind of it's a bit mad, really, to be honest. Because if you think, what's that based on a year? Like 3,000 downloads in the course of a year, that equals 250 a month.
Yeah,
which is not bad. Or basically about 55 listens per episode.
Wow. I mean, you look at some of them, like episode number 50, this podcast has changed our life. That's like trending above a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely some growth.
It's just definitely, I think, titles, right, Neil? Like, that's kind of like what people are going to be listening for, because when you listen to, say, Chris Williamson's podcast, you don't really care about most of the guests. You just see one that pops up and you're like, I'll listen to that. Because it's like, or you'll get a good title or something like that. That's kind of why you listen to it. There's maybe one or two. I think to be honest, most of the podcasts that are just two hosts, I listen to more than I would listen to, say, like special guest podcasts.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because I listen to one called Colin and Samir. It's about the creator economy.
Yeah.
And it's just two people talking about things, generally speaking. And I sometimes I feel like the consistency on that's pretty good. And I like that it's just the two of them, and I like them both, and I think I like their comments on everything. So typically, if you just had those two podcast hosts without a guest, then I think that just kind of that solidifies it more for some reason for me.
And you get sucked into their kind of their life. So like, what have they been up to? Where they're traveling? Like Mo Gauda, I know he has guests on the podcast, but I really enjoy. He does a bit at the start of the podcast about what he's been up to. And just hearing that quite often and regularly is quite cool. But I can imagine people like the two hosts the same. Yeah.
So, because we haven't had any guests for ages, have we?
No, we've kind of toyed with the idea, and there's been kind of talks of some people coming on, but I don't know, it's never come to fruition. Do we
I still
pursue
feel-
it? Do we not?
I still feel like interviewing our wives is definitely one that we should absolutely do. I definitely think we should interview our fathers-in-law. Maybe if our parents are up for it at some point, perhaps. Those types of things I think would be, because they kind of I don't know, they just kind of like, it's again memories, right? It's solidifying those kind of things. They'd be good guests. So next time we get an opportunity, we need to do it.
Well, I love Sky, my father-in-law will be there.
Oh, we got them all then. I'll take the kit.
Oh, we could do a four-way.
I'd have to buy another mic, Neil. Give me a minute.
Well, have you got 2 mics, 3 mics? I've got
I've got
one.
3. Oh, you got one. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay. We could maybe make it work. See, we could do a whiskey tasting with our fathers-in-law.
Yeah.
That'd be a good episode.
That would be.
All right.
I wonder if we
we'll
could get an
think about
episode
it.
in a distillery somewhere. Anyway.
That would be pretty cool. We could maybe ask them and see what they say. That'd be quite fun. Yeah, so maybe make that happen, Neil. Like, message Talisker and basically just go, we've got this podcast. It's not very popular, so you're probably not bothered. But
I would say that.
we'd love to do a whiskey tasting or quiet, but we've also got a podcast, and we'd love to do a podcast in your distillery. What do you think about it? And then see what they say.
Yeah, they'll have like quiet tasting rooms and stuff somewhere.
Yeah, just be like, we're not asking for any sponsorship or anything. We just like to do it in a cool location, and it's just audio. So, what do you think?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that could probably round us up nicely to the highlights of 2022. I'm looking forward to listening to it in 2023 to see how it compares. But yeah, it's been a fantastic year. I have had ups, I've had downs, I've had an expensive year, probably the most expensive year of my entire life. I've had some turmoil, I've had some tears, but yeah, just another year of just kind of experiencing new things, developing as a dad, certainly.
Oh, there we go.
And if Olivia listens to this when she's 30, 20, 18, 50, who knows? And then, that's going to be my major highlight of 2022. Spending a whole year with her. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, likewise, this year's been awesome. But I like thinking about, especially when we do the how are yous every week. And there's some weeks that we're both just like deflated. Mortgage prices are rising. Like your wife lost a job. Like there's really some roller coaster moments. And but then the flip side is you come out of those and they're just temporary. So if my kids, Olivia, is ever listening, then hopefully you listen to all of them. But if not, then there is lots of ups and downs in life, and they're temporary. So just make sure you're grateful for them.
Just keep that glass half full.
Yeah, I need to fill up my glass.
Yes, I'm trying to save myself because I'm going to do a lot of drinking at the weekend, I think. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just thank you very much for listening so far. We are probably a half a listener in by the end of this because we've kind of gone past the hour that we usually stick to. We will probably do our goals for 2023 as our sort of next podcast, or certainly review the goals and what we achieved and didn't achieve, and then what we're hoping to do looking forward. I suggest that if you are already listening to this, you probably got your podcast of choice. I mean, 50% of people listen to it on Spotify, and then 25% listen on Apple Podcasts. So the rest of it, God knows what you're listening on, but whoever's out there, enjoy it. If you've any questions, comments, thoughts, then join us on our Developing Dads Instagram page. Neil will post by the end of the year something, I'm sure. Who knows? You never know what you might do. But we can get something up there. If you enjoyed this, again, you can follow us. I don't know if Neil's got a private page or a public page on Instagram.
I forgot. Don't know. But I got my Instagram back.
Oh,
it
that's
got
good.
Taken away, but now I'm back to my Neil Greenhorn.
Yeah, so if you look for Neil Greenhorn, you can comment, send him abuse, do what you like. Or you can follow me at Greenhorn Creative. It's where I'll do all my fancy work, my fancy photography. But yeah, I've babbled on enough, I think, Neil. And be on YouTube if you want to see our sexy faces. Neil's head's definitely getting bigger. I think as he ages. Either way, thanks very much for listening. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas when it does come. And we'll see you in the next episode, I guess. Not quite the last one. So we'll see for this year. All right.
Sounds good.
See you later.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.